buy milk from farmers recently, and I said, well, okay, yeah, there's some quite interesting stuff to be had in there, but you need to keep it narrow because Fonterra is a big organisation. So that's the example of of the sorts of conversations I've been having about their assessment organisation. Yeah.
Okay. And again, we must try to, as much as possible, for them to send you the link so that possibly you have a look and ask them, because some of them will tell you there's a change in social organization, but when you go to the rubric says they must be able to identify drivers of change in the organization. So, because that's on that basis you want to mark and see that they can actually, identify what drives those organizations to make a change. Of course, we may look at it from internal and external. An organization can decide to make a change from internal perspective in terms of its processes and some other stuff, strategies, something like that, right? In some cases, organization can decide to make a change, can be forced to make a change by government policy, by economy, by environmental factor. For example, if you work in oil industry, you must abide by New Zealand rule of climate change. What you can pump, your whatever your footprint out, you must look at that. That can drag them into making a change. So this must be virtually, discussed in their, report on change in a particular organization. And again, if they don't identify a change in an organization, it's going to be difficult for them to identify what are the resistance to that change in that organization. For example, if AUT or AU is making a change by way of reducing the size of faculties, right? He must identify maybe one of the reasons, closing of the border, more students are not coming in. But at the same time, there's no way management will implement that change that will not lead to reaction or a sort of resistance from employees because they don't want to lose their job, because they have bills to pay and something of that nature. So when they send a link to me, I try to look at it and say, well, this might be good, but the possibility of you being able to identify what motivated them to make a change and what are the resistance to change. Of course, they can use theoretical perspective, what they learn in the class, to apply to that, but they must be able to discuss it, focusing on that organization. Because it might be difficult for you to see a change in Fonterra. The report might not show you what were the reaction from people to protest against the change, but you can look at it from theoretical perspective. I know a student last year wrote me a change in an organization in New Zealand that deals in agricultural products. And because of the COVID or something of that nature, they have to change from hand picking of the fruit to automation, right? Now, that we have reaction maybe from the workers there who works on daily basis to pick fruit. And so they may not be willing to go along with the change. So what does the organization do or did to bring them into the fold and make them realize that they're not going to do their job? That's the perspective which, now that, by the way, I'm just saying that so that we will be on the same page, because whoever that moderates or is going to moderate our report is going to look at the 3 reports, right, from 3 cohorts, and we must be on the same page on that. That's just what I'm trying to say. So definitely they will pick an organization. Before they do write on it, we should be able to have a link from them and go through it. A student today now sent to me that he's going to write on Vodafone. I know Vodafone made a change. The Vodafone change was last year around September, but if we calculate it, it's more than 6 months. I cannot say because of that I'm going to stop him, because the report requirement says 6 months. So we can go ahead and just tell our students at least a year. Even if it's a year, 2 months, I'm not going to query it. But I just want us to be on the same page so that if somebody moderates and he sees Chintan is strict on 6 months, and he sees my student writing about 1 year of an organization that make a change, he may try to fail my own student because Chintan's student has, written his own report within 6 months. So that's just what I want us to discuss, what I want to bring into our discussion. And again, Yeah. Again, I'm looking for a way, and I don't know yet, if we can create forum on group basis, right? That is, we have a forum that is meant for cohort 1, cohort 2, cohort 3. Maybe I have to talk to Olga, because Wednesday night, I populated a class activity that was meant for students to read and write not more than 500 words to change management theory or modules. And when I got to the class yesterday, I was saying, okay, go to forum and do so. When I got there, the exact names that and the modules theory that they need to write on is been deleted, and another list of students has been, incorporated into that. So, but I was so lucky that on Tuesday when I told them what we're going to do in the class as activity on Thursday, and I made it available for them to have a look first. So some of them have already downloaded it and kept it.
So some of the stuff had been deleted, are you saying?
Yeah. The entire Excel on that forum that I populated to use as class activity on Thursday. I did that on Wednesday. When I came on Thursday to class, I realized that it's been deleted. Another Excel containing another class, another cohort is being installed there.
I've set my class up on Teams anyway, so I'll be doing quite a lot of sharing and conversation in Teams, which is just my cohort. So it's a conversation between people who are already having a conversation, and they're aware of the nuance or the little bits and pieces that are there. So that's where that'll be our main channel for talking and sharing bits and pieces, because the Moodle thing with everybody there is I mean, there's a list of possible literature sources, which is as long as your arm, and it's kind of, well, I mean, it's good that there's lots of stuff there, but it's impossible for anybody to actually kind of check it all and make a pick from a selection so big. The exercise of actually finding some articles is valuable, which brings me to a point. Does OPAC have does it have a library where we've got access to some of the big search engines like EBSCOhost and Emerald and things like that? Where is it? Because I've seen it somewhere, but I can't find it anymore.
I think Chintan. Yep. Yeah, you normally have a library for students, right? EBSCO.
Like, so physical library, are you talking about?
No, there's a library that is meant for the school and it's mostly used by students.
Oh, yeah, so it's on level 8.
No. Oh. I mean online library. Online,
Robertson Library.
We have Robertson Library, yes, but you have to sign into it. It's mostly dedicated to students, but teachers can use it.
Yeah, we can use it.
You can use it, Teachers can use it, but you have to sign on as a teacher to use it. Yeah. But the point is that if you want to use that, you may possibly have accessed it before you come to class and collect your data there and put it somewhere to come and discuss with them in the class.
Right, because the reason I ask is because there's an article on Emerald, which if the Polytech has a license to use Emerald as a database, then students can use the material for free. I know the article's there because I've searched on Google, but I know that you've got to pay to get it, unless the institute has a license for students to use it, and that's what I'm asking about. Whether for instance, EBSCOhost, which is one of the big engines, is available to the students. And I had a feeling I'd seen it somewhere earlier on, but I can't find it now. I don't even know where to look. And I asked the students, is there do you have online library access? And they don't know.
They have online library. No. They have, I think we have about 2 or 3 online library for students. The problem with these students is that they don't use what they paid for.
Oh, I see.
Because they don't bother going there. Because 70% of them are not really for learning. They just want to change their location to come to New Zealand.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the only thing they do is whatever you give to them in class, that's what they rely on. They
Right.
don't go
Yeah.
further. The point,
Yeah.
if you want to test them, ask them how many of them knows the report requirements.
Yeah, well, I mean, today I suggested an article and told them what it was about, and they all wanted to go and get it, all right? But they couldn't get it because I couldn't point them to library access. And so I said, well, I'll see if I can get a PDF copy and steal it and stick it up on Teams.
Yeah, even if you get it and document it and put it on Team, ask them how many of them will read it.
Yeah,
once they leave your class, they don't visit back whatever materials you give to them.
Yeah, but I'll have to buy it to get the download, because last time I used it, I was at the University of Auckland, and they had I had access as a member of the university to these electronic libraries, you see. And so that's what I was wondering about, whether we have that sort of access to electronic libraries that target.
No, we have actually, Steve, we have Robertson Library. So what happens is, yes, it is true that not all the resources available on Robertson Library, but if you search on Google, Google Scholar, and some of the articles you find interesting, you can copy the name, you can put it in the Robertson Library. Most of the time it happens that the same resource we have in the Robertson Library. I'm still doing research, so even I find there. I think family is also using Robertson Library. So Robertson Library has a big resources in terms of getting articles. Even I get articles from there, so you can use it.
If you say the students don't have access to Robertson Library, but we do.
No. We students have access to Robertson Library.
They have free access to it. They have free access to it, but they don't have that time. They don't go there. Okay, now, if you have a library source that you love, that is good, we can discuss it on Wednesday meetings, or you can sell the idea to head of department. You can go through the school to make it available. Of course, I used to tell them we should have collaborate with AUT, even for library at AUT, even for ordinary giving access to library, physical library at AUT. We can do that. It's just a matter of signing, and AUT, we give access card to our students.
Oh, I see, right.
They can do all those things. We've said it several times, but one thing is for the school to buy all these things. Another thing is for the student to access them. Yeah, that's the problem. Because if you check them, even the little report requirement that is available for them on their module, they don't even read it. Student will come and ask you, I don't know the page I'm going to go on the module to access to read this. So is it the teacher that will tell you everything?
Oh, well, I'll maybe raise it next Wednesday.
Okay.
But I'll see. Meantime, I'll see if I can find the Robertson Library, because that's what I've seen, but I'm not quite sure where it is on
You want to show me? I can share my screen and I can show you how you can.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks, Chandran.
Yeah, just a second. So this is my screen, and just a second. So this is my screen. So this is our.
Yes, Tohono.
Tohono, and then you can go into tools. Can you see tools?
Yeah.
And when you go into tools, you will find here Robertson Library.
Robertson Library there. Okay.
Yeah, and then generally I go to library catalog. You can also go to databases, but I generally go to library catalog.
There's the catalog there. So okay. I'm with you now. Yeah.
So if time management or whatever topic you will type it will give you something.
Yeah, that's fine. I found that in tools, but of course I was trying to show the students where to go, and of course they don't have that tool available to them. Is that right?
No. It's available. Yeah. It's available to them as well.
Even during tutorial, when they're welcoming them to school, they show it to them.
Yeah. It's just that they were cruising around their screens, and I said, "Can you see this? Because I can't see the student view. I don't know what they see."
and Steve, I can bet you most of the student knows that, because most of the students in change and adversity class have already finished 2 blocks. So they can't finish 2 blocks without having access to Robertson Library.
They are not entirely new students. They are students that they've crossed over at least 1 or 2 blocks. So they've been using this thing. This thing has been taught, they have been shown to them. But because I don't know. He is saying it because he has gone through it. He has used it of recent.
Exactly.
So he's very familiar with it. Yes. But these students are just they just want little. They don't want to really impact their knowledge. They just want to pass the assessment. They just want to pass the assessment.
However, I mean, today I actually saw a glimmer of interest in people actually looking around for some interesting stuff, because I introduced some conjecture into the whole situation, you see, and so they were interested to prove me wrong.
That's the only way you can challenge them, put them on the wrong, force them to do something. But the moment they do it for you in the class, next class ask them, they just throw it away. I was talking to a student yesterday that despite the fact project management, we're discussing, we're doing this, all of you, there's no pen and pencil, there's nothing you're writing down, there's nothing you're jotting down. When you want to write your assessment, what do you lay your hand on to support you? They say we have our head. We store it. I say, what do you have in your head? In your head to store everything. For how long? How many things are you going to store in your head that will help you to write your assessment? Meanwhile, there are two students that will always come into me and they say, this is what we understand. This is how we want to do it. And you can see that there's the seriousness in them. You can see it. Because they're looking for information, they're getting information, and they are supplying information to the class when we discuss
it. Yeah. Coming back to the assessment, because there was the question about, you're looking at organizational change. So you pick an organization, and and you find out that it has already gone through some changes, and so you can look at and write about the changes that it has achieved and how it achieved them, and then they're saying, so what about it? What can I do about how they might change in the future to the current changed environment? And I said, well, you normally you would look at what they've done up until now, and you might actually write an argument which is about whether the change methods that the approaches that they've used in the past are likely to be successful in this new environment. And I said that's the way you could extend it on, it kind of project it into the immediate future.
Yes,
is that okay?
Yes. Well, the point is this: you have identified an organization that has made a change. You have identified what motivated or drive them to change. You will identify what are the resistance they face in making that change. Going forward, you have to make recommendation. And that is where you will say, having done this change, the resistance that came up from this change was as a result of this. This is how you could do it better. And you could, next time you want to do it, you could apply model. You could apply appropriate theory. For example, if you apply a theory that is just 3 steps theory to an organization, you just use a theory that is just 3-step theory process, and it's a big organization of which that theory was not really relevant or good for it. You could go further after that and say, this organization, even though this is successful, next time they want to do it, they could use an appropriate theory, maybe like Kotter's 8-step theory that is elongated, that within the theory, within the way you are making the change, you can identify who and who supposed to participate in it. That's just the essence. What this person is talking about, what you talk about now will be most relevant in assessment 2.
Yes.
Will be most relevant.
I gave them a little exercise today. I thought this was quite interesting. You may do too. But anyway, I'll tell you the story, see what you think. I said to them, here you're sitting in a classroom in a course, and if we think of this class and this course as organizing for change, that we actually want you to be changed by being in this course and come out different to what you went in, you see. And I said, so what do you think the barriers to change are? And I waited for a while, and then I went to talk to one group, and they said, well, I think the furniture could be arranged differently so everybody could see the screen. And the round tables are no good because some people sit and they have to sit with their back to the screen. And I said, so those are the barriers to change, are they? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, maybe having a learning in a class is actually a barrier to change. I said, for instance, think about this. What are you learning from it the most? And they said, is it from talking to each other and exchanging ideas and and working together? And they said, yeah. And I said, well, you know, if it was me, I'd be saying, what we need is more food and coffee. And I said, so, you know, let's move to a cafe. And then we can do this better. You know, I said, otherwise, why would you come here? Why would you come here? Do you come here to watch me talk to the slides, or do you come here to get new ideas and to talk about things and figure out how to write your assignment? And you do that together in a face meeting. And they said, yeah. And I said, so if you were going, so what are the barriers to that happening? And I said, so the way you've constructed the process in your mind is actually the barrier. And if you could get a different idea about how this process functions, then you would see the barriers differently. For instance, we need food and coffee. We need to reduce the barriers to productive conversation, and to the introduction of new ideas into our conversation, and the utilization of the diversity and the knowledge that we obviously have here. I mean, there's one member of the team there, of the class, who's already a university academic and is taught in university. I just thought that was kind of interesting, that they had a very limited view of the organisation that they were participating in to achieve change.
Now, in fact, when you look at these assessments, it's really a bit difficult, because students doesn't have access to this organisation per se to see how they make change, right? They don't really see how to make change. But I think the focus, why we are making them, teaching them from experiential perspective, I think the focus of the assessment is all about, application of theory to the organization. Yeah, I think that's just it. Because obviously a student is not working in a particular place and you are telling him to identify change. That is a bit limited, because if they don't have annual report or report from the organization, or if the organization is not posting everything to their website, they may not be able to see the change that happens. But there are some smart students. I think I had a smart student last year that there was a change in he's working in an hotel, multinational hotel in New Zealand, and they were doing a change, and he was part of change team there. So he chose that organization, and he was able to write every base set of what they need to change, how they cultivate the change, how they bring the change, because he was part of it.
Yes, it's personal experience.
Yeah, it's personal experience. And when he wrote, because I think I scored him 85, and so when he went for moderation, they said I should make it 90 for him. He came back to me, he said, how did I get this? I said, well, this is the report, this is it. I said, how did you write this? How did you get this information? He now brought the book, the booklet, the document from his office, he brought it to me to read through. But his assessment too wasn't that successful like that. So even though we're teaching them to apply, it's going to be difficult to apply because they are not part of the process in that organization. But when they are part of the process, they can look at evaluating it. Is it relative to the theory? Are they doing it good or whatsoever? So,
yes. Well, today we applied Wilkinson's theory to the class operation. So we use that as our yardstick, well, one yardstick, if you like, to evaluate what I was doing, because I'm asking them to critique me and the course as a change manager.
Take yourself as a change manager and look at what do you think? Does this report or this course need a change? Why does it need a change? If you're changing it, what are going to be the barriers to change, right? What I always use for them in terms of example for need for change or what causes change is Otago Poly as itself. When COVID came up, right, nobody told us that we need a change from face-to-face to online.
No, exactly.
Nobody told us. Because we want to retain our job. It's dependent on students, open border, but already we have students that are paid for learning. Now, the government said we should lock the schools. If we lock the schools for 3 months, how are they going to pay for another 3 months? Or are we going to extend their stay when immigration will not extend it? Because if they're supposed to spend 1 year, and lockup is for 3 months, they will be staying 1 year, 3 months. Are they going to pay for that? So the problem will be on us. So that is what motivated us. What is the barrier for us? Most of us are not IT learned. So we have to protest. Now, if we are going to do this, you have to give us training, you have to go. The organization agreed that we are going to train you for 2 weeks. Yeah. And they trained us for 2 weeks, impromptu. And so we quickly went on team. Team is collaborating with a module. We quickly learned about that. That is change. Who and who, even the students were resistant. No, I won't know how to do it. I will no, don't worry. We gather most of them together and teach them how to assess, how to do everything. I said, as we continue, you will learn. So that's why I told them, change is inevitable. And I said, even while we were doing that here, we still realized that students were not coming in, and there was reduction of staff. I said, so when they say staffs will go, all of us were shaky. We are resistant to it. But at the end of the day, we have to go. Even when they go, I told them there was a point I was teaching only 2 students.
Because production and stuff.
So what do we do next? We now say, okay, we can't sustain ourselves. Despite the fact that we reduce staff, we say, okay, we have to take our course across the shore. We have to sell these courses to them in Iran, China, take it to them there. We wrote to NCQA. They said we should prepare paper. They approve it. In fact, the student we were getting offshore was more than what we have ever gotten in New Zealand. And most of them, once they finished 4 papers. Before COVID ended, they started applying to New Zealand immigration because they have done our course. Automatic. All of them were just coming. That's why the first block this year, we had about 4 or 5 cohorts. Needed the open border because they have the visa already. All of them just rushed out. That's a practical way of illustrating the need for change, why change, what are the barriers for change. That's what I normally use for them as a case study for us to even introduce change for them. But the most important thing is, as we say it, as we illustrate it to them, do they really grab, do they really, make use of it or think about how to apply it?
No, of course not. No. So, I mean, the example I give them is I say, I worked at the University of Auckland for a long time in the business school, and the business school collectively knows everything about business, except that it's very poor at doing business.
That's a very good example.
And you only have to ask businesses to try to collaborate with the University of Auckland, and they will tell you how difficult it is to do that.
That's very good. So, that's very good. Yeah.
There's a big difference between knowing about it and actually doing it.
So
that's right.
That's just briefly what I wanted us to agree on, that we can tell our students that they shouldn't be mindful about 6 months. They could look for an organization that is just 1 year or 1 year, 6 months, or 1 year, 2 months, for them to be able to access. Because we have 70 or more than 70 students, they're going to be writing on the same organization.
Yes. You want to see it from where it's been to where it's going.
So I try to tell them that the moment you have one organization being chosen by 2 students, I will not allow the 3rd student to choose it.
Up to 2 students, did you say? Yeah.
Yeah. Let's assume we have ANZ.
Right.
Change. They wanted to write on that. If I pick on it and you approve for me, and Chinta pick on it and you approve for him, if Indra pick on it, you're not going to give it to him.
Right. Yeah.
Because
sorry. I was going to say, so far, my lot, I don't think anybody's duplicating anything, but I'm waiting for them to come to me with a proposal on what they propose to do.
Okay.
And then so I'm encouraged, if I get 3 of them come with the same organization, I will suggest the last one go and have a look for something else.
Because at the end of the day, it's going to boil down to, you want to say something?
Just a second. I just want to point it out here, Steve, specifically. From your talk, it looks like that you are asking organization. What my suggestion is, even for the assessment one, Steve. Ask for them, not for the organization. Ask them which case study in the organization you are looking for. So ask them to send you some link, kind of what kind of change. Otherwise, what will happen? They will simply select an organization. They will put anything for the change. So my practice is ask them, because so many of my students just send me, okay, I want to look at end user, and I said, what kind of change you want to look at? Because end user.
Yes.
So ask them for a change. That okay, if you want to go for ANZ, what kind of case study? Send me a link or something. Otherwise, from your talk, like Femi is clear because Femi is teaching this course. Like since how many years?
Yes.
So from your talk, it looks like you are asking them only organization. It won't help you, because otherwise you will be clueless what kind of case study they are looking at, and might be at the end of the day, maybe case study will be the same for all of them. Like that's what my point is.
Yes.
So
Yes.
ask them for the case study. Then
you know, one
ask
thing
them,
is this.
send a
Yeah.
link.
Thank you for that. One thing is this: when we look at change from theoretical perspective, organization can have technological change, they can have strategic change, they can have a processing change, they can have transformational change, holistic change, right? So these are the perspective they need to look at it. If you look at Vodafone now, Vodafone did a transformational change, because from logo to stakeholders to collaboration and everything, they have to change it. It used to be based or a collaboration from UK Vodafone. They said, we don't want to use UK again. We want to use New Zealand. We want to be ourselves. They change their logo, they change their name, they change their processes, they change everything. That is a transformational change. Why? What motivated them to make that change is because they need to wait for UK processes. When they have processes, it has to go to UK first, process before it comes here. It's a form of leakage because it's a phone. So if I make a call secret through Vodafone, right, and it goes to UK to process it before it comes here, my information is leaked already. If they want to tap it, they can tap it. And New Zealand said they are grown up enough for them to have their. So this is a transformational change. Some people will have a strategic change. Strategic change could be, even transformational could be your changing your products, right? But some people have strategic change. This is how we've been doing it. It has not been fetching us what we wanted. We want to change our strategy. We want to go totally online. That is strategy versus internet process. So if we define it on that basis for them, when they pick an organization, they should be able to identify. And when they send the link to me, most of the reply I sent to them today, I said, this will not, I don't see any way you can identify what were the motivation for this change. Number one, I will ask them, what year was this change? I will read through. Because mostly when they go on link and see, they go to news. News will put, today is, if the news come out today is 28, it's going to say 28/7. When student goes there, they will think that change was done on 28/7. It's a lie. That change might have been done or might be just proposed. When you are proposing a change, you cannot write that you have identified. They propose they are going to do it next year, you are writing now. You can't jump ahead of them. And if you don't check them before they write all these things, they are going to claim you approve it for us. That's very, so first of all, I try to identify for them what are the specific change that comes up in organization. So some news you read may not tell you this is a technological change, may not say this is strategic change, but when you read through, you will know. If we say a new CEO came to ANZ and said, this is the way we've been doing it before, we are going to change it. We are going to change our organogram. We are going to change our structure. We are going to make sure that we extend our branches. This is more or less a strategic change, but they are not going to caption it as a strategic change. But if you understand the strategic change, when you read through, you starting your report by saying, this organization has embarked on strategic change because they do this, they do this, they do this. In view of this, they want to realize this and this and this and this. So you begin to identify what motivated them to make a change. Because that's the only way. Because if you just say change, in fact, they will just be anything they read. Now, count down now. Next year, Countdown is going to collaborate with another organization, right? Now they pick it for me. And I said, you can't pick Countdown. It's a proposal, they've not done it. How can you say change? So that type of change that they wanted to do in Countdown is about we could factor that to strategy or strategic change because they want to expand and they want to collaborate. So when they collaborate, the other organization, they sell an idea for them that this your structure is not okay. You follow the structure we have, or they will sell their structure to the other partner. So that's just the way we. I think it's a brilliant idea. I've not explained it in detail like this to my students, but I'll try to make sure that they just have to identify based on. And I try to identify to tell them too. It is better to pick a very good organization now. Read assessment 2. Pick a very good organization that you don't have to be jumping up and down. It is better to because this report did not limit anybody to say the organization you use in assessment 1, you cannot use it in assessment 2. But the perspective through which you are going to write your assessment 2 is different from assessment 1.
Right.
So let's just be. It is better for us to be on the same board, yes. So that the pattern of teaching, how we sell it to them, will be different, but the expectation from them should be similar, even if not totally, same.
Yes. Yes.
So that's just what I want us to say. Okay. So I've learned from him now. Maybe when I have forum for my students to do, because at the end of the day, what I did yesterday was to send it to team for them to go to team and know the change that they have to write about and come back to module and fill it up there.
Oh, I see. Yes. Okay.
So,
yeah.
That's what
I think we also have a forum activity. So what we can force them like I'll do it in the second week. That okay, now if you have selected, all of them have selected the case study. Now you write something about like 200 word, 300 word, what kind of change the organization that you have selected, so that every one of us we will have idea that what they are working on at least.
Yeah.
So we can do that activity. So
yes, we can do the
activity.
Yeah. We can do the activities. We can do that. Is good, but I can assure you, 60% of your class students wouldn't have picked their organization by next weekend.
Yeah, that's true.
Go and write it down.
The condition apply if they have selected.
You will possibly be begging some of them because now they don't make it a reality to start their assessment 2 weeks before submission. Some of them will start it on week 3, Thursday, and they want to submit on Monday. So that's just the problem. The first one, those ones that are serious, we start conceptualizing it at week 1.
True.
So, but it's good for us to run that for them to even write about so that they will understand. You just don't grab a change or grab an organization without understanding what particular type of change are they embarking on.
Yes, and of course, one of the things that might happen is they may have to change the organization that they select to do their assignment on.
Yes.
There's another change for you.
Yes, they might just make a change. If I share my second screen now, I have a table already that I'm compiling. I'm putting their name. This is what I'm doing that. So every day I have a class. That's the first thing I show in the class so that they will know. I even created a forum, but I feel the forum I created is going to jump out because if Chintan's student put there, if your student put there, it's going to just make me crazy. I wouldn't know which is what. So meaning that I have to have a list of my students before I identify who is this. So, but I create a table now that I'll be sharing with them through team and in class. These are people that have picked this organization so that they know if it's filled up by 2 and they try to pick another organization.
Yeah. Cool.
So, but everything should be okay. Okay, yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, I'm comfortable.
Yeah. So
okay. Thank you.
Thanks for
agree on one
thanks,
year
and yeah. So we will conquer the world, man.
We are conquering it already.
Yes.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.